10 unbelievable iPhone myths. That video's coming up right now. Let's go. Number one is that jailbreaking your iPhone is illegal. Now, this is not technically illegal, but it will most likely void your warranty if you don't know what you're doing and you end up not being able to get the stock iOS back on there. So you do this at your own risk, but you are able to customize your iPhone however you like, putting whatever type of apps you want on here, different icon grids, a lot like what you can do on Android. But jailbreaking definitely may void your warranty, but it is definitely not illegal. So that's the first myth busted. Myth number two, Steve Jobs is the only thing that made Apple iPhones successful. There's a common belief that without Steve Jobs, Apple is dead. A lot of people actually believe that Steve Jobs passing is the reason why Apple has been losing, shares and all that, and stock price has been falling. But actually, the iPhone 6 was the most sold iPhone in the history of Apple iPhones, and that came after the Steve Jobs era with the Tim Cook era in 2014. However, Steve Jobs did make a huge impact in bringing the iPhone to on stage for the first time ever, and is a huge contributing factor to where Apple is today. But it doesn't mean that because he passed that Apple is all of a sudden a dead company or something like that. So that's the second myth. Myth number three is that the iPad is just a big blown up iPhone. This is simply not true. The iPad has its own dock. It has its own applications designed specifically and solely for the iPad you can never find on the iPhone, and you can open up full web pages in at least the desktop version site on Safari, which looks a lot more like a laptop. So it's not directly the same as an iPhone. So it's a myth to believe that the iPad is just a big blown up iPhone. Myth number four is that applications running in the background of your iPhone should be closed to save battery life and avoid shutdown. Now, I know a lot of people like to just flick these away because they think it's doing the iPhone good by saving some juice or maybe even giving you better performance, but actually iOS is better than you ever could be at managing itself. So essentially you don't actually have to close these out to get better battery life or anything like that. It's a total myth for slowdown or battery improvements. Myth number five, charging your iPhone overnight kills your battery life on your iPhone, and this is simply not true. The iPhone is smart enough to realize that once it hits 100% to cut off all power going into the battery. Now, it will trickle charge, which could eat into your battery life if you do this every single night for the entire duration. You might lose a couple percentages in your battery health, but overall, it doesn't really harm it to charge it overnight, as it knows when to stop feeding electricity to the iPhone. So this is a total myth and totally not true that you shouldn't charge your iPhone overnight ever. Myth number six, Apple should make a thicker phone for better battery life. A thicker battery equals more weight. It's like having two iPhones in one, and we already see that if you get an Apple battery case, which you're probably better off doing if you actually need the extra juice, because Apple is not likely to do this. A thinner iPhone is more comfortable to the user, and adding a thicker iPhone for a much thicker battery will be a weighty, chunky phone, which I just don't see Apple doing, considering how obsessed they are with making really good designed phones. Myth number seven, battery life sucks after we update our iPhones. I'm never updating my phone. This is actually true and not true. It's actually true from the start, because right after an update, the iPhone has to update the storage, the libraries, it indexes. It also does some, things in the background that get it back running efficiently as you just put a new piece of software on your iPhone. So just give it a day or two, and it actually will sort itself out. But yes, after the initial update, the first time you update it, it will suffer a little bit in battery life, but it will improve over a couple of days. So it's true and not true, but still a myth that overall your battery is just going to be depleted because of an update. That's just simply not true. Myth number eight, all chargers are the same. False. You're much better off with an authentic Apple charger than a fake off-brand charger from a manufacturer that is not Apple. A lot of times I'll notice that it actually hurts the battery by using these inauthentic chargers, and a lot of people sell fake, cheap, not actual good chargers that charge your iPhone very slow and don't really help you out at all. So really try to stick with the Apple branded stuff when it comes to this regard. Myth number 9, your iPhone gives off so much radiation that it's dangerous for your health. Actually, this is false. Each iPhone has to pass specific regulations and standard of health radiation emission before it can be passed on to you on the market. So this is actually not unsafe to use an iPhone, regardless of all the radiation myths that are out there. Each iPhone does emit a little bit of radiation, but nothing that's going to be dangerous to your health. And myth number 10, it's commonly believed that iPhone is better than Android devices because it cannot be hacked. But this is simply a myth. Apple even has their own bug bounty program that will allow people to be paid out over $100,000 sometimes just to find loopholes and bugs in their system. So even Apple themselves know that their system is not 100% perfect and they're always striving to improve it. Now, is it a very secure operating system? Absolutely. But can the iPhone never be hacked? This is simply not true. It can be hacked. Your best solution to not getting hacked is to keep your software updated consistently every time there is a software update, and not to download some weird stuff, third party or unauthorized things on your iPhone that you're not supposed to be downloading, and you know what they are. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. In conclusion, those are 10 unbelievable iPhone myths. Do you have any that you would like to share? Drop them down below in the comments. It would be enjoyable to read those, as there's many more out there. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, enjoying, click the like button for me. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.